Welcome to this week's edition of the Optimum Synergy Podcast with our friend and your host, Adam Huber. Join Adam as he takes you on a journey into the realm of detailing, business, and beyond. Make sure to follow us on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. Sit back and enjoy the ride.
Welcome back to the Optimum Synergy Podcast. I am your host, Adam Huber, and today we're going to Hawaii. We're getting laid, but I suppose you probably really hate that, don't you? Like, how often do you hear that? But we have Mr. Shea Mirafuentes. Did I say the last name correct?
Yep.
Awesome. I love saying that last name. And he is an Opti-Coat installer of ours in Hawaii. Now, there's 4 or 5 islands in Hawaii.
Yes.
Which one are you on?
I'm on Oahu, so the main island with the Honolulu on it. So probably the most, I would say, most people on it. Like,
gotcha.
It's a super small island. You just have like close to 1 million people on this one island.
What? Really?
Yeah, that's what they say. That's what the numbers say, but
I think they're lying. Man, that's crazy. 1 million people on that island?
Yeah, I mean, when you come out here, and it does seem congested. But yeah, I mean, that's what they say. So.
Wow. Okay, so we need to put at least 5 more installers on that island. You can't have it all to yourself, man. And actually, the reason why we are talking today is because Shea has a really interesting thing that you're going through a training program right now, thanks to Tim McDonald, that came onto the podcast and actually started a training program, kind of in part because of the podcast. And you're going to kind of go over some of this huge success that you've had from that training. But before we get into that, I think I speak for everyone in that we would like to know a little bit about the man behind all the Pro Plus kits that are getting installed in the coming weeks. So, Shea, how did you tell me a little bit about, like, when you were a kid, were you really interested in cars? Like, what drove you to be a detailer in the first place?
Well, basically, I mean, I always had a thing for cars. And when I was a kid, I was, everything cars was my life. But for the most part, I have found the knack for just cleaning vehicles. I just felt like a fulfillment in doing it. When I was small, my entrepreneurship started when I was very small, starting with the, newspaper route. And even at that, I was like hungry for more. So it ended up, I would be taking on like 6 different routes because I was just wanting to make money. And that kind of went over into detailing cars. And I believe I was, let's say 11 years old when I started to kind of hit up my family members, and I'll tell them, I'll detail your car for money. And I would do that every weekend doing grandma.
Dang, you were even taking money from your family?
Oh, yeah. I mean, even if they didn't want to, they'll give me money. But once that one time they gave me money, it was like a drug. It was like, because you're getting like, for all your hard work, you're getting something in return. And you just it makes you feel really, really good about it. Like, it's kind of telling you're doing a good job. So I like that feeling. So I kind of related it to the more money I got, the better job that I did.
Yeah. I mean, that's basically just like
that's
business 101.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, I started like when I was like 11 years old. And then, growing up, to me, detailing a person's car was like the greatest gift you could give them. So like even with, my girlfriends, I didn't have a lot of money, but when it came down to like their birthdays or some kind of special day, to me, like the best thing to give them was to like detail their car. And, I did that for like everybody, like even my parents, if parents have birthdays and stuff like that too, I would detail their car. So that kind of started there. And going into the adult stages of my life, obviously I married, have 2 beautiful children. But before then, my wife got pregnant, and I was actually in and out of several jobs, could never get used to, I guess, kind of working for someone else. And basically I had that feeling, which, a lot of people, who start their businesses all feel that, why am I making this dude rich if I can make myself rich? So what happened was my wife actually got pregnant, and I didn't have any stability. So one day we were just laying in bed thinking about what we need to do to survive. We have this baby on the way, and I'm jumping from job to job. Nothing's consistent, and I just said, you know what? I love cleaning cars. Maybe I should start a business doing it. And next thing you know, I'm jumping in my Ford Ranger pickup truck, going to like Kmart, buying stuff from the automotive section, posted up on Craigslist, and that's how I started.
Nice. So what age would you say around that you were?
I was I think I was 27 years.
Nice. So me and you were around the same age. How long has it been now then?
So I started 2007. That's when I first started. Actually getting a business license and being legit and everything. So 2007 actually started my company.
Dang, you've been at this a while.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I don't even mean that like age-wise. I just mean that like, and you've got some experience under your belt, 12 years, roughly.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I've I love the craft. I see it as a craft. And a lot of people ask me, so how did you like learn and everything like that? And that's when like YouTube was starting to get big. And my hero was, if I don't know if anybody even remembers this dude, but Mr. Miracle Man, Paul Dalton. He was the one that I kind of like modeled myself after.
Okay. All right. So let's start. Man, this is interesting. I don't know if I've really dived in too much with other detailers that came onto the podcast about this, but I'm just kind of interested. So what kind of products were you using back then? Like, I mean, 12 years ago is going to be such a different landscape than what it is now, detailing product wise. So what were you using back then?
So that's when Swiss Vax first came out. So I was using a combination of Swiss Vax and Chemical Guys.
Okay. I think we've all started with CG at one point or another. I did when I started out. Yeah. Get the old honeydew wash and foam on the car. Yeah. Okay. So when you started your business, did you concentrate more on exterior and interiors, or did you just kind of do everything all at once?
My specialty was the exterior. Like I said, I modeled myself after Paul Dalton, and if anybody's seen his videos, of course, he came out with that super famous one, the $5,000 car wash. So basically, I modeled off of that. So my thing was paint correction. So I was just really just going gung ho with that, with the paint correction, and posting up videos. And back then, was Facebook even created back then? I don't think so.
Yeah, Facebook was around.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because 2007. don't. Oh, man, 2007 is when I graduated high school. So, and there was definitely Facebook around then.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think it really caught on as big, but still, yet back then was forums. Forums was huge.
Oh yeah, yep.
Yeah. So I would post up my work on forums, and every single car forum there was. Locally, there was a big car forum called I don't even remember Speed Hawaii. That's actually what it's called, Speed Hawaii. And from there, I just posted up my work. It was only paint correction. That's what I concentrated on. And then the other fact, I just wanted to be unique. Again, modeling after Paul Dalton, hand applying wax. Not meaning just using, elbow grease, but actually putting the wax on my bare hands and putting it on the vehicle. And
man, that would be such a unique experience.
Yeah. So a lot of people love that. That was like nothing else. Nobody in Hawaii has ever seen that, let alone paint correction. So I really kind of took the market on that when I first started.
Okay. All right. So then at what point did you start messing around with Optimum products?
Let's see. I think it was, Are going on approximately like 4 or 5 years, maybe 4 years since Optimum? Sorry, my memory is really bad.
No, that's totally fine, man.
Yeah, it had to have been about 4 or 5 years ago, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, so fairly recently.
Has it been? It seems like it's been longer, but no.
So 4 or 5 years ago, let's just say 5 years ago, you're doing traditional soap and water wash, and you're using you're just doing kind of the typical things. I don't know exactly what all Optimum processes that you use, but what was it like when you did that first rinseless wash?
It was crazy. I mean, I could not get my head around it because I just felt like I was doing something wrong, because I was so used to doing the whole foam bath and, multiple washes and going with each stage of clean and decontamination. And it was to get my, first starting with using ONR, it was so alien to me. And I just felt like I felt like I was damaging the car, basically. But I used the product and I just kept using it, and I just kind of, had to get my head wrapped around it. And I would check the vehicle, and I would not scratch the vehicle. There would be no additional damage to the vehicle. And I was just like, at one point, I was like, damn, I should have done this a long time ago. It cut my process in half, like 50%. And in running the business, time is money. And that was huge.
Real funny story for you. So every once in a while, a big part of Jason and I's job, along with Adam Carter's job, is to try and think of video ideas, right? And every once in a while, we talk about featuring like Optimum car wash soap or M wash or something like that. And then inevitably we start talking about the foam cannon, right? And I kid you not, when we start talking about like having to video, Jason or I having to video and do like a foam cannon wash and wash with soap, we're both like, can I just not do that? Because it's so, like going back to doing a foam cannon and soap and water wash, we're both just like, I never want to do this again. Like, why in the world would I do this incredibly inefficient washing process that do we just hate it so much? Even though Optimum car wash and M wash are, yeah, they're great soaps. But it's still just a soap, Yeah,
there's no purpose in using soap anymore. It's absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, we sell soap, guys, but like you're never gonna hear us to like you're if you ever hear one of us reps recommend the soap over the ONR wash, we're sick. Like tell someone to call 911 in our area because we're not feeling well. So do you do, just out of curiosity, do you also do like the wash clay wax process as well?
Yes.
Okay.
So, recently we started implementing that in our shop for about a year now. And again, same thing. Man, I should have did this a long time ago.
Okay, now one last one, and I'm not trying to like make this a constant Optimum plug. Like you guys keep listening to the podcast because I promise we're going to be delivering the tons of value later on down the road. But the polishes, do you use those as well? And like the pad washer and the whole hyper system?
Yeah, well, the pad washer, I had the an old scoop pad washer. I was using that. I actually just ordered the Opti pad washers, ordered 2 of them. But we're currently using the hyper polish and the pads along with the Zen 2, and that it's like butter. It's like butter. That thing is amazing. The way it finishes, the cut, the paint correction is, and the fact with, it also is cutting your time down because you're doing like 3 steps like in one craft, basically, with the polish, ONR wipe, and then the panel prep. It's all one time, and like then your car is just good, good to go to coat. And it's like, again, it cuts our time. I'm going to say 50%. Everything that since we went over into the the whole optimum system, the optimization, I believe was what you guys call it. It's cut our time like 50%, without a doubt.
Nice. And again, I'm not trying to like draw this out of you, and just because this is the Optimum podcast doesn't mean that you have to like be forced to say that you use all of our products.
No, man. It's just, I'm slowly when I use them, like I said, like with the whole foam cannon going to Onar, it takes me a while to get my head around it. But once I just bite the bullet and I use it, and I'm like, man, I should have done this a long time ago.
So, just out of curiosity, what's kind of like the one product that has really surprised you the most out of everything? Like, you really thought it was just total BS, and then when you used it, you were like, man, like that was dumb of me.
Oh, easy. That's ONR by far. ONR.
Okay, yeah, that's a pretty standard answer. So one of my questions that I had for you, and I think what a lot of people would maybe be curious about, maybe not, is what's it like detailing on Hawaii? Like specifically, what do you see is some of the most common issues on your island?
Water spots, hard water spots. Irrigation water here in Hawaii is really, really bad. It like turns the car basically like white. It's so hard. The calcium buildup is so crazy and so corrosive. It doesn't take long for that calcium to eat into the paint here in Hawaii, especially with the harsh, sun. And then you also got, the beaches and everything, the saltwater air, the combination of that, it's pretty gnarly.
Yeah, I can imagine. So with pro coatings, have you, with Opti-Coat Pro and whatever, have you seen, is that one of the benefits that you sell people to, is like not necessarily water spot proof, because we both know that that's not the case, but the fact that the clear coat is not the thing that's getting damaged by water spots?
Oh yeah, that's one of the major points that I point out why they should get their vehicles Opti-Coated, because it protects the paint from the damage of the water spots. I just tell them, you're investing, $1,500 for the Opti-Coat, and they kind of are set back by that. But I tell them, imagine if you got the water spot etching on your paint, just how much that would cost to get that resprayed. And that's like a $5,000, $6,000 job. So I'm like, so which one would you rather pay, $6,000 or $1,500?
Yeah, and I never use this as a sales pitch in my business, and it's mostly because I didn't really put two and two together. But now when I talk to people about it, I tell them, it's like, why don't you do me a favor? Go to your local body shop, tell them that you want the vehicle completely repainted, and get a quote for that. And then you bring that quote back to me, and then I'm going to bring my quote of $1,500 for Pro Plus. And which one would you rather pay? Now, it doesn't totally protect it, right? Like, obviously, if you get into an accident or whatever, but from just your common defects like bird poop or water spots or tree sap, whatever it could be, why not just have that extra protection on there to keep your vehicle looking nice? And to someone who, there's a lot of pickups that get sold here in South Dakota, some of these pickups are like $70,000, $80,000. $1,500 to keep it looking nice. I mean, why wouldn't you pay for that?
Yeah. That's a no-brainer investment to protect your vehicle.
Okay, so now, guys, we're going to move on to kind of the meat of this whole podcast. This training by this crazy guy in Canada with crazy hair and the lovable videos, Tim MacDonald. Tim came onto the podcast. Did you by chance listen to that episode?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so what was your thoughts what were you thinking about as you were listening to that episode, and what was kind of going through your mind?
I was blown away that he is in the middle of nowhere and that he's getting all these Opti-Coat jobs. And I just couldn't fathom that. I was like, how is this guy doing that? I mean, if anybody looked at his pictures and stuff, and he does pan across looking out from the front of his shop, it's just big open fields. And in the podcast, he was saying, I guess the town that he lives in is 15 miles away or something, or 15 minutes away, but the next nearest like metropolis is like 30 minutes away. Mm-hmm. And people are driving past other Opti-Coat installers to go see him instead. That really piqued my interest. You know, how is this guy branding himself for other people to pass other installers to go to him?
Mm-hmm. So the next day, or it was at least within that week, I can't remember if it was exactly the next day, but Tim, as usual, does his Tim thing, does a video and does a post saying that he's going to be offering training to help people do the same things to try and help them be just as successful as he has been. And you decided to go for it. And I don't remember what the cost of it was, but I remember it being pretty decently reasonable.
Oh, yeah.
And what was kind of going through your mind that you decided to do that? Like what was the driving force behind saying, you know what, I got to put this money down and do this?
Well, it's a combination of a lot of things that has happened to our company in the past couple of years. First of all, you know, it being Hawaii, 20-mile radius. I mean, you got, 40 to 50 auto detailers on Yelp alone. If you bring up Yelp, you're gonna have that many detailers on there. Then you got like your Facebook marketing place, and some still even do it on Craigslist. Trying to sell their services and everything like that. So that, along with the thinking of how Tim was getting people to come to see him instead of other people, that was one of the things I wanted to know how to do. But the other thing that really, what put us in a bind really was when we were forced to move 3 times in the past 2 years. And as people know, when you move, I mean, you lose a lot of business. And to do it 3 times within a couple of years, we were hurting. And I was forced, the shop that I'm in now, I was forced to kind of bite off more than I could chew, per se. It's a nice, decent sized shop. The actual shop space is maybe a little over 3,000 square feet, but we're paying like
nice.
Yeah, I'm paying about $4,400 for that, but so it's not so nice anymore. The price of it per month.
Shea, I'm about to make you sick for a second. So I'm gonna interject just a real quick personal story in this, if you don't mind, because I very, very somewhat understand kind of what you were going through, because when I had my business, I was mobile for a couple of years. And then I decided that I was really sick of detailing in negative 20-degree weather. So I was going to just rent a shop for the winter. Well, normally wintertime for South Dakota hits right around October sometime. And then it is just like a faucet or a light switch. All the detailing work just stops as soon as the first snowfall hits. Nobody wants to get their car detailed. So in that particular winter, though, when I moved into a shop, I don't do anything. I tend to not do anything small. So I decided I'm going to have a car show hosted there and introduce people to my new shop space and everything like that, because I wanted to try and build excitement and keep jobs coming through the door. Well, the problem is that I ended up doing those things too well. And I was just booked for like a month and a half, 2 months. And then the people who listen to the podcast regularly, they understand kind of what happened during this period of time. But anyways, I ended up hiring a whole bunch of people. And then I got told that, hey, I think you can kind of make your own shop space work. So I went from 1,000 square foot to then a 3,000 square foot shop space. And so I went mobile, one shop, and then a different shop, all kind of within like a 6-month span. And yeah, I mean, I can kind of understand that, people were still thinking that I was at the old shop, even though I was only there for like 2 months, maybe something like that. But I had made such a big deal out of being at this other shop space. And then when I moved to this 3,000 square foot one, the only reason why I was kind of saying oof about the price was I was in a 3,000 square foot shop and I was paying $2,000 a month, $2,100 a month, something like that. And these were brand new buildings, and the people who built them just insulated the bejesus out of them. And so I was scared that my utility bill was going to be ridiculous in the wintertime. And I kid you not. And people in other Midwest or Northeast areas, they get mad at me when I tell them this, but for me to heat a 3,000 square foot shop in -20, -40 degree weather only cost me like $150 to $175 a month. It was crazy. I love that shop. It was a great shop, but so I know we kind of went off track there, but did you try to do anything? Because I have a story for this as well for people who might be going through the same thing. Because actually, I know there's one shop in Washington that they've just moved location, so maybe this could help them if they listen to the podcast. But did you try to do anything to like make people aware of where your new shop was or anything like that? Like host things? Like what did you do?
Well, I really needed to figure out the whole social media thing because, I was still kind of like on the old school, I mean, word of mouth for me here is pretty good. It was pretty good back, I'm talking about, before we moved, but after we moved that kind of like all went away. And it's almost like when people, they got the word of mouth, they went to the old shop, wasn't there. They just assumed, he probably went out of business. So I was just kind of seeing how can I get these people aware, like how you did with the car show. I mean, I didn't do a car show, but to me, it always seemed to come back towards social media. So I started to really, trying to learn that side of marketing, going YouTube and, learning everything I could, doing every single tactic. And it helped a little bit, but not so much where I was selling high ticketed items. It was all like really, the smaller detail jobs inside and out, many details and stuff like that. But, in a shop that, I pay well over $4,000, $300 here, $400 there is not cutting it.
Yeah.
I guess that's the segue where, lo and behold, thank God I came across Tim's, your podcast with Tim, and I just jumped all over it immediately. But kind of going back to I guess I was kind of going off track there, but going back to what drove my business the past couple of years was all social media.
Okay. Well, did you concentrate Facebook, Instagram? Like, what did you concentrate on?
I was doing both, trying to do both as best as I could. Facebook, if you don't know what you're doing, you can spend a lot of money and not see any return if you don't know what you're doing. So that was another thing that really interested me with Tim as well, because he obviously knows what he's doing with the Facebook advertising. So
I'm gonna put my personal story in here because I do. For anyone that knows me decently well at all, I'm always going to advocate social media and doing just kind of marketing in general. But there's so many different faces of marketing that you don't have to stick to just social media. And I just wanted to tell a real quick story about one event that I did that just helped out tremendously with people finding where my new shop was, because I wasn't on a main street. I'm actually the old shop is tucked behind kind of like a main street, and it's kind of hard to find. And one day, a friend of mine and I are having an argument over who in Sioux Falls has the best pizza. And I said, you know what? I've got 25 or 2,700 people on my business page and I don't know, a few thousand more on my personal page. I'm going to have I'm going to create a survey in Google Forms. If you guys haven't created a survey on Google Forms sometime, do that. Send it out to your customers using Google Forms survey. It is brutally simple to do, and you can get a lot of really great feedback from your customers using that. You don't have to get fancy with it. But anyways, I basically just listed off, I can't even remember how many pizza places I listed on there, but I just basically Google searched pizza places Sioux Falls and tried to list as many as I could, and just made it to where people could just select one or two, and then posted it on Facebook late at night and sent it out an email blast. The next morning when I woke up and the next day when I checked it, there was like 275 responses on this survey. It was insane. And I called my buddy and I said, hey, we might have to do something with this. So then what we did is we narrowed it down to 10 more, the top 10, and then did another survey and then basically took the top 5 out of that. Now, why am I talking about a pizza competition? What does this have to do with my old shop? What we did was we hosted the first Sioux Falls pizza battle at my shop. So the top 5 winners, we called them, told them what was going on. Some of them gave us a discount on pizza. Some of them told us that we're going to pay full price, whatever. We donated all the money, except for what we were going to have to pay for the pizzas, to a charity, and blew it up. Spent a little bit of money on Facebook advertising, but I mean, there were so many people that already knew about this survey and this contest that there was already a ton of people interested in it in the first place. And so when we had this pizza battle, like that shop just got filled with people, and they're voting on pizza and everything like that. Had nothing to do with car detailing, but there was so many people that now knew how to get to my shop, where my new shop was, and then they're telling their friends and they're posting on social media about being at the Sioux Falls pizza battle, and there was just all this really great free advertisement for you guys that are maybe struggling with getting people in your door. Maybe try not to concentrate on doing something that's car detailing related. Try to do things that are a little bit outside the box. Sioux Falls every single year has Sioux Falls burger battle. I can't even remember what it is, but every restaurant just tries to think of this unique burger. Try a barbecue competition. Just some things to try and get some traffic through your door that maybe isn't detailing related, but people are going to be talking about that competition, which in turn means that they're talking about your location, which can be helpful. So sorry, I kind of stole the podcast for a little bit, but that seemed like a really perfect opportunity to hopefully help just a couple of people out there with something that they might be struggling with.
Yeah, totally.
Okay. So Tim's training, how did that conversation with Tim go in the first place? Like, what was that kind of process to get into the training? Because I know there was kind of a little bit of a process.
Yeah. So, I signed in on Tim's site, and then he would call you, and then you would actually have like an interview. There's like an interview portion of it, and it gives a chance for Tim to kind of get to know you and also get to know your business and where your business is at. So he's just trying to figure out, if he can be of any value to you and your business at that moment in time. So that's the first thing. And then he'll decide to, either take you on, or he'll just say, I don't know if he can help you. He's a real straight up guy. So that was that. And then after that, we kind of schedule for the first month. We'll get on a phone call with him once a week, and kind of just go through, and he'll cater his training based on your concerns and where your business is at the time, and what your goals, what you're trying to achieve, by taking the training from Tim. So it's very personalized for each person. So I think that's so awesome. It's not like a cookie cutter thing where he has an outline and he does it for everybody. It's made just for you.
Okay. So just out of curiosity, if you don't want to disclose the exact amount, that's fine. But how much did this training cost? Was it pretty significant?
No, it was $1,500.
Okay, so some people are going to say that's a pretty significant cost for training, but something that I've realized too, as well, is that the more expensive something is, the more invested you are into actually doing it. And what I mean by that is there's a lot of advice and stuff on this podcast, but it's free. So people people sometimes don't act on the advice that's in the podcast. But if I charge someone $1,500 to give them a consultation, they're going to take that advice a lot more seriously, and they're much more willing to like actually act on it, right?
They're monetarily invested in it at that point.
Right. So is this kind of like, were you stressed out about paying that amount of money? Like, was it a little bit freaky when you first began?
Oh yeah. I mean, when he first told me the amount, I was like, $1,500. That is a good chunk of money. But then he kind of said, well, if you believe that my coaching will help you sell at least one Pro Plus in the month's time of coaching, it pays for itself.
Very true.
So at that point, my shoulders came down. I took a sigh of relief, and I was like, you know what? That's worth it. That's totally worth it. And I truly believe with his coaching, I was going to sell more than just one damn Pro Plus kit.
Well, I hope so. Well, I mean, according to your video, like that's definitely not going to be a problem of yours anymore.
Yeah. Crazy results. I'm blown away by it.
Okay. So what was that first phone call kind of like?
The interview phone or the first training call?
Yep.
The first training call, actually I have my notes here. I can kind of go over it, but not so much detail. So it was just really, like if you kind of remember on my backstory about the whole thing, we're kind of suffering. Just to be transparent, I'm going to say it. We were behind, 3 months of rent. Ooh. So, being said that my rent's about $4,400 a month, that's a lot of money to be in the hole for. So going based on that, Tim took a genuine concern about that. And he said, the first thing we have to do is get some cash flow going in there. And he just shot out this one idea to get instant cash flow for me. And next thing you know, I'm, past 2 weeks, I'm 20 kits. 20 kits.
Wow.
And, down payments have been done. They've been scheduled. Buying the kits. And I just ordered another 10 kits this morning. And just that first week, that's what he's done for me. Wow.
That's crazy. So your first week just started here recently then?
No. So the first week, actually, we've completed our month. So our first week, that first week was him teaching me what to do and everything like that, and started that strategy, and it kind of just to kind of start, the not motivation, but the momentum kind of started on the ending of the second week. The third week, that's when we were just book solid 2 coatings a day. And this coming week, we'll also have like about 2 coatings a day coming up.
Wow, that is crazy. So basically 2 weeks straight, you've had 2 coatings a day?
Yeah, so last week and this coming week is 2 coatings a day right now.
Man, and are we talking about just Pro Pluses? Are we talking about interior kits as well? Glass? What are we talking about here?
No, just Pro and Pro Plus kits.
Okay, and average ticket? Would you say?
Average ticket, I would say about $1,500.
Wow, man, yeah, that's cash flow. Like that's some cash flow.
Yeah, by far. So he basically saved my business.
Wow, that's crazy. That is so okay. So there's going to be someone listening to this thinking, that's great. He's in Hawaii, so of course he can do that. But little old me in the middle of nowhere, I can't possibly do that. What do you have to say to that?
I totally don't agree with that. I mean, you gotta figure too. Like I mentioned earlier. I mean, I'm competing against a 15 mile radius of competing with 50 other detail companies selling their own coatings, and I'm the most expensive coating on here on the island. So
yeah, and you've got Joey Love. Shout out to Joey Love. If us little, I don't know if he listens to the podcast, but I like Joey. He's kind of an outspoken
he's
guy,
awesome.
straight. And he has a mad amount of respect for you too. And I'm not just saying that. Like when we talked at SEMA, you were one of the very first people that he brought up and said that he was super happy that you were on our team.
Cool. Yeah, I love Joey. That dude's awesome.
Yes, I mean you've got some pretty heavy hitters there on the island. Like there's some pretty decent detailing companies there.
Oh yeah, by far. Yeah, they're all. We got some. We call them hammers.
So
hammers on Hawaii.
So, something that would probably also be worth noting is that people might say that the average income there is pretty high, but your guys' cost of living is ridiculous.
Yeah. Was it you that I told you what the low income bracket here is?
Maybe.
A single person, a low income bracket in Hawaii is $68,000 a year.
Oh.
A family of 4, you're considered low income bracket if you only make 110. So, I mean,
Shea, do you know what the low income in South Dakota is? It's like $25K.
Oh my goodness.
Well, I mean, I had a 3,000 square foot shop for 2,000. Like we're literally talking like your exact same, and that was new construction. So exact same size building, and you're paying over double per square foot than I am.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. And I don't believe in the whole thing about how, oh, woe is me, the income is low in my area, you just don't understand. We get this all the time. And then I'll flip it on people and I'll ask them, I say, well, does anybody there drive a Mercedes or a BMW or an Audi? Yeah, they're all over, but I can't ever get them in the door. I say, you know the weird thing about those cars? What's that? They sell them at the same price everywhere else in the United States. So how can someone afford that car, but yet they can't afford to pay you the same amount of money for a coating? Well, you don't understand. Nope, sorry, case closed. Like they don't see the value in what you're selling. That's what they don't see.
Yeah, exactly.
You just need to do a better job of that.
Yeah. And it goes all down to the branding part. You need to brand yourself.
Absolutely. 100%. Branding is a very powerful thing.
Yeah. Going to your car thing too. It's like, if not that, look what they're holding in their hand. If they're holding an iPhone in their hand, that's $1,000 phone. And they're saying they can't afford you, or they're wearing Jordans at the same time, or, it's like they can afford you. They don't give us the respect. They just think as us as car washers, and some of them try to drill you down, and they'll try to say whatever. It's just like us as detailers, we need to, like you said, we have to just prove our worth to them. And some detailers kind of need to check their ego at the door, and just swallow and just cater to the clients. I mean, you need that money to feed your family and everything. Now, you do what you need to do what you gotta do.
Did you listen to my last podcast?
I haven't gotten the chance yet.
Okay. No, the only reason why I brought that up is because I'm pretty sure everything you just said, like I pretty much literally said that in my last podcast. I said, if you want people to not think of you as a freaking car washer, then guess what? Stop marketing like a freaking car washer. If all you're doing is posting pictures of a clean car and like not doing your due diligence and saying and making people understand what is so much different about that clean car versus one that comes out of a touchless car wash, then do that. You need to let people know, like, why should I pay $100 for that versus $10 for a touchless car wash?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Okay. So I don't know if it'd be possible because I really respect Tim a lot. I know you do as well. We don't want to give away a ton of secrets about Tim's training, but is there like one or three things that you can say that people could maybe do some actionable advice that they listen to this podcast and they can go out and do it tomorrow?
See, I mean, he's giving me so much good information, and it's like, I mean, I just want to like share it, but I know I can't. So I'm just trying to see if I can word it in a way, like you said, be general about it, but someone can actually do some things to help them out.
Do you know if Tim is going to do this training more?
What is that?
Do you know if Tim's going to do this training again, or if he's going to keep on doing this?
Yes, he is actually looking on to bring on some more people to coach.
Okay. I won't put you in the position of trying to find something that would be actionable advice for people to do, because quite frankly, only 1% of the people that listen to this podcast actually do the things that are said on here. But if you guys are serious, you know what? I'm doing too much talking. What would you tell the person who is scared and is worried about making their business work, and they are all bunched up and scared about paying $1,500? Like, it might as well be $1 million to them. Like, what do you have to say to them about this training?
I mean, it's you got in business, and when you got into the business, you took a certain risk. Now you're in business and you find yourself in a situation, and you can't quit. Don't be a quitter. The biggest reward comes out from taking the biggest risks. I mean, right now you're in a position where you don't know if you're going to be in business any longer. I mean, this is would be the last, for me, this is like the last ditch effort. I put in, all my money, and I risked it all, and I was just hoping that this would work in the end. But I guess my thing, what I'm trying to say is, like, you're not going to get any results if you don't risk anything, and that's the nature of business. You cannot, there's no guarantees. There's no guarantees in life. You just got to do it. You have to get off your hands. You can't just sit down and just hope and complain and make excuses. You have to go out there and make it happen, because the only person who's going to make things happen for you is you.
I fully agree. One of my favorite movies of all time. The quote is, "You got to risk it to get the biscuit."
Yeah.
And it's true. Like, and I fully agree with you. Some of my more rewarding moments were like, you have to face your spouse, and they're thinking you're crazy, and they're looking for an answer as to why in the world do you think that spending more money now? Because I mean, let's not glide over the fact that you were over $12,000 in the hole, right? With being behind on rent.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
$12,000. First, that's more expensive than the car sitting in my garage right now, like, than my own car. Guys, if you think you're scared about paying $1,500 for training, that, by the way, I don't know if you heard Shea, he's doing 2 Pro Pluses per day for the last 2 weeks. I'm bad at math. I'm really terrible at math. But let's just say he's doing a 5-day work week, which you're doing 5 days because you're Sunday, Monday's off. That's 10 a week. That's 20 in the last 2 weeks at $1,500 a pop. I don't know what that is, but it's a lot of money. That's all I know. It's a lot of money. That's all that matters. There's a lot of zeros on the end of that. So, and that's only in 2 weeks. Imagine your taxes at the end of this month. Whew, boy. That check is gonna hurt to write.
It is.
But I can guarantee you that rent check that you have to pay for, that you can actually pay now, like on time, that's going to be sweet nectar.
Oh yeah. It's just like a huge stress lifted off my shoulders. Like you said, give them the check, and it just felt like, oh my God, life is good again. You know what I mean? It's like I can concentrate on other things of my business than being behind on my rent. And that's just kind of helping me too. So, I mean, and it's also helped open up other opportunities. And like we kind of spoke about that earlier too.
Yep.
But yeah, it's like, you know, you gotta, like I said, I took this risk, $1,500. That was a good amount of money for me, being already $12,000 in the hole in rent, over $12,000 in the hole. So you can kind of maybe picture what I was going through when you're talking about risk. You know, I just did it. You know, just do it. Like I said, if you don't risk it, you're not going to get the reward. And thankfully, I got a huge reward in the end. And this is just the beginning for us. So me and Tim are going to keep continuing this. And
good for you.
We got some crazy momentum, as you all heard, and it's just going to get even better.
So does he have kind of like a mentoring type program where like people that have been successful with it, like he's going to keep working with them? Because I know he's in a mastermind group. And so I don't know if that's kind of something similar that he's going to be putting together now as well.
I don't know. You would have to ask him that, but he actually hooked me up with one of his mastermind group members who actually is from Hawaii, who flies out there to meet him in their masterminds. So that was pretty cool.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
And when we were talking yesterday, I believe, and I asked you if you wanted to come on the podcast, and I want you to hear this actually coming from me, because text can only do so much. But the only thing that makes me sad about this whole situation is I truly do care. Like, I really do truly care about the guys that are trying to execute and trying to make something work. And if the only thing that makes me sad about this whole situation is that I didn't really know that you were struggling and having a hard time and everything like that, and that I wasn't able to help you at all through it. That's the only thing that makes me sad about it. But the fact that you're pulling it off, and I mean, I didn't even know before this conversation, I knew very little. We had very little setup about this podcast, which is kind of abnormal for me. But like, I can't even seriously express in words how happy I am for you, because I know what that feels like to pull that off. Like, and I mean, I was never that far behind. So, you know, take that. It's a relative thing, but like, I know what that victory feels like. And man, being able to look at your spouse and know that they're not stressed out anymore, and because inevitably, and I don't care how amazing of a wife you have, like when you're in the hole that much and something's not looking like it's going to work out, like those conversations are not fun, and there's tension. And dude, seriously, like from the bottom of my heart, like I would give you a hug if we were in person, like super, super happy for you. Okay. And yeah, like if you guys are out there and you're struggling, just please reach out to someone, or work on finding someone that's going to actually help you. It doesn't even have to be me. Like, I don't care, but like there's someone in your community, or there's someone that you can reach out to that can actually help you. And now you have one more person that can do that. And that's Tim MacDonald. Hopefully, you know, he can find there's slots open. I don't know I mean, I'm sure there's only a limited amount of time or limited amount of people that Tim's going to be doing this with, but super happy for you, man. I really am.
I mean, it's like, it just kind of came up in my head, and I think this might help people if they're kind of on the fence about everything. And I like to say is, if there's someone out there that has what you want, the success and everything like that, like you said, reach out to them and basically copy them. I know we were all brought up in school, and we were, you know, disciplined if you copied someone's homework and stuff like that. But now when you're in business, it's okay to copy. It's probably the best thing that you could do is copy someone. And I'm just grateful I'm able to copy Tim, because he's gone through it all. and he's obviously successful. He's doing it right. And all you have to do is just copy. That's all you have to do. And don't feel bad about it. Because I know like I said, we were brought up not to copy. But
Right.
now we're older and we know how life is now. Copy the person who has the things that you want in life.
And one other thing, if I may add to that, people who are super successful, they're getting hit up by all sorts of other people from all angles of life. Don't be surprised. Most of the successful people that I talk to say, I make people jump through hoops before I'll work with them, or they're going to pay for my time. So don't be off-put by someone who is really successful that you have to earn your way into their inner circle, because most people, if they don't, it all comes right back to you. If you would have gotten the same advice from Tim, but you got it for free versus paying $1,500 for it, the chances of you actually executing on that are going to be much, much lower than if you were to pay for it. Same way that if someone makes you jump through a hoop to have an hour with them that is super successful, you jump through that hoop. Like, how much time are you actually going to lose? So, any closing statements or anything you want to say before we jump off the podcast here, Shea?
No, that last thing, I think that's what I really wanted to say is just, copy someone who's successful and everything like that. And I think another thing I would say is surround yourself with the right people. I see this all the time, especially here in Hawaii, because we're such a close-knit community here. It's like, surround yourself with the right people. I mean, if you surround yourself with people who just want to drink every day, you're going to probably be like that. And you're going to be wondering, well, how come my business is not being successful? It's like, maybe you should surround yourself with people who have successful businesses, and you may get that vibe and you're going to feed off of them. And, probably heard it, all over the place, but it's super, super true. It's super, super true. Surround yourself with the right people.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you again for coming on to the podcast. I really appreciate it. And I hope you have just an awesome day. I'm really looking forward to following up with you in another month or so. Yes, definitely. We got some big things coming up, me and Tim. So, yeah. Oh, actually, we need to talk after this about your momentum that we were talking about earlier today. So, yeah. All right, guys. Thank you for listening to the Optimum Synergy podcast. And you know what? Instead of paying the usual fee, if you are in this situation that you think that you can benefit from Tim's help, reach out to Tim. If you don't know how to reach out to Tim, email me, message me, call me, whatever, adam@opticoat.com, and I will get you in touch with Tim, because it's important. So I hope you guys have an awesome day, and thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening to this week's edition of the Optimum Synergy podcast. We look forward to seeing you next week. Hope you enjoyed the ride.